All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live for the quarterfinals of the Overwatch 2 playoffs. We are the Missouri State Grizzlies, and tonight we are going up against the Barton Cougars. We are taking this first game over to Lijiang Tower, which is a control map. So that means that both teams are going to be starting from each of these dropships on the side and moving towards this central point right here. I'm going to go ahead and go see what's popping over here with our fellow Grizzlies. Looks like we have Royal on Ana with Bloo on Reaper. Got Rad on his Resident Reinhardt. We got Jimmy Buckets on Symmetra. And Shullyyyy is on Lucio. Gotta absolutely love it. I know these guys have been practicing a junk ton. They are super excited to go into the quarterfinals today. If they happen to take home the victory on this match, we'll be moving to the semifinals directly after.
Judging from the lineup on the other team, I'm going to guess that they're going to try to do the TP strat. And if they do, I'm excited to see how the Grizzlies handle that.
With both teams doing a TP strat directly into the center right here, lots of combat going down. Jimmy Buckets getting taken out. However, Rad reciprocates that. However, Rad and Bloo do get taken out right there. Shullyyyy, being the last alive, almost gets a boop off the map right there, but he has to go regroup with the rest of his team who were taken out. Looks like the entirety, looks like they're going to be switching characters here real fast. Shullyyyy switched over to Moira, Bloo switching over to Farah. And Royal has switched over to Baptiste. So the Cougars have already taken control of this first point and they're earning some time. Bloo takes down the Moira from the Cougars. However, he is getting really hammered by those Symmetra turrets and was taken out. Looks like Rad is stuck in the Junkrat trap and he was getting pinned to the wall. However, he is in that immortality field from Royal and was able to stay alive momentarily. Lots of damage going down on both sides right here. However, in a huge shatter from Rad, but he does get taken out, but Jimmy Buckets goes in, gets an elimination, but gets taken down as well. And it looks like the Cougars have stopped the Grizzlies' attack once more. Looks like Bloo is just attempting to fire some rockets inside. Get a little bit of damage off, maybe get that ultimate cranking. Looks like Rad has switched over to Winston. I'm ready to see what he's going to do with Winston right now. Royal putting down a lot of healing with Baptiste's grenades right now. However, could not quite keep Rad alive as he was taken out by the opposing Symmetra from Barton College. Lots of combat going on right now. I do see that Bloo, Shullyyyy, and Royal have their ultimates ready. However, the Reinhardt, the Junkrat, the Moira, and the Lucio from Barton College also have theirs. Bloo is out here on this side. Looks like Shullyyyy goes into his ultimate, but a Riptire from the Barton College Cougars takes out Royal and Shullyyyy. Rad and Jimmy Buckets fall immediately after, and Bloo is the last alive here. However, he gets taken out as well. And the point has been cranked, and it's at 99%. And without one of the Grizzlies sitting on the point, overtime does not happen. And the Cougars take home the first round. However, this is a best out of 3 format in the control game mode. So even though the Cougars did win this round, if the Grizzlies take home the next 2, they will be up 1-0 for the night.
That just goes to show that getting on the point the first time is very important. It's a game changer, being the first one to lock it down.
Absolutely. With 2 attacking teams going at the point at the exact same time, it's hard to say. It's really a 50-50 on who's going to take that point. However, if you're able to get on the point faster than the other team, it turns it into a defenders versus an attackers. And it's much easier to defend the points than attack. Looks like Rad has switched over to Ramatra. I'm assuming to use his crowd control ultimate inside of this point, which is a really good play. Looks like both teams use the Symmetra strat as well, getting in as fast as possible. Jimmy Buckets cranking some damage, getting an elimination. Looks like that tank goes down from the Cougars. Huge eliminations from Jimmy Buckets right here. Looks like that Lucio is almost down as well, and he does go off the map. And it looks like the Grizzlies are now the defenders of the point, as the point is active and it is currently being captured by MSU. Looks like some turrets are going up from Jimmy Buckets right there to kind of protect that area in a place where it's difficult for the Cougars to be able to shoot those turrets out. The wall going up here from Rad and a Radiant Pool to stop the advance of some of the Cougars right there. Excited to see when he's going to go into his Nemesis mode right here. It looks like he might need to, but that wall goes up, getting that extra armor from Nemesis mode. He is currently cranking some damage inside of Royal's invincibility. However, it does not last too long as Rad does get taken down, and so does Shullyyyy. It is not looking good, but Jimmy Bucket's ultimate was doing a lot of damage mitigation right there for the Grizzlies. Bloo staying alive and snagging a double elimination, and he does have his ultimate ready, but he is so low and gets taken out by the Bastion, and so does Royal. Royal did use her ultimate, but it is going to waste it. As soon as she put it down, the Cougars pushed the Grizzlies off of the point, and they were not able to use that ultimate to their fullest advantage. So Rad is going in with his Nemesis form right now. One amazing thing about the Nemesis form of Ramattra is the fact that you can punch through a Reinhardt's shield. So even though they do have that shield up there, still going to take a lot of damage from a Ramattra in Nemesis form. Bloo snags 2 eliminations, but goes down as well. Rad is inside of his ultimate at the moment. Jimmy Buckets and Rad getting some eliminations right there and retaking the point, and the Grizzlies are now earning some more time towards the 100% maximum total. Absolutely beautiful teamwork from the Grizzlies right there. It is still a defending run for the Grizzlies as the Cougars are doing their best to regroup right now. Looks like sending some Moira orbs inside of the point to deal a little bit of damage, crank up that Coalescence ultimate for Moira. Now that ultimate from Moira is extremely powerful, especially in control game modes like this, where everybody is relatively in the same place, because not only can you heal your teammates at an exceptional rate, but you can also damage enemies at the exact same time. And it looks like 2 ultimates from the Cougars go down. However, an invincibility field from Royal goes down as well and saves Rad. It's like Shullyyyy, and it looks like Jimmy Buckets gets taken off the map by the opposing Reinhardt. Bloo on Cassie right now, doing his best, tossing some magnetic nades. And he's almost got that Reinhardt taken down, and it looks like he does go down by Rad. Absolutely beautiful. I'm accidentally clicking onto the wrong team right here. Bloo gets an elimination on the opposing Kiriko, and it looks like it's just the Bastion and the Moira left. Rad takes out the Bastion, and it is just the Moira keeping the overtime alive. However, the Cougars have switched over to a Tracer in order to stay on the point and just try to stay alive as long as possible as overtime is cranking for the Grizzlies. Bloo keeps getting these eliminations, absolutely dealing so much damage to the Cougars. And it looks like Rad's ultimate takes out 2 of them, and the objective goes to the Grizzlies, making that a solid 1-1 for the first game of the night. And we're going to be moving in to the overtime map for this first control game. I'm excited to see if there's going to be any team comp changes for either of the teams right here. Gonna go ahead and go over, see what's popping over here in the spawn room for the Grizzlies, and that is Genji right here for Bloo. I know he means business when he whips out the Genji. Shullyyyy back on Lucio, Rad staying on Ramattra, and Jimmy Buckets is on Reaper at the moment. Absolutely beautiful. The match is about to start, and now this is the overtime map for the control. It is best out of 3. As I said, both teams have 1 point. So whoever wins this round will take home the first round of the night. Both teams, I have missed the doorway. Both teams are currently moving in to this point right here, and it looks like the Grizzlies are the first on. However, it does take 30 seconds for the point to become active in order for a team to begin capturing it. Even though you are the first on there, that doesn't mean you are the first to capture. However, a massive biotic nade from the Cougars, Ana, was not allowing any healing to be given to Rad, Shullyyyy, or Jimmy Buckets at that moment. Rad does go down to the opposing Reinhardt. Looks like Shullyyyy and Jimmy Buckets are trying to get away from the point as the Cougars capture it, and Royal goes down. Got Bloo up here on Genji, just trying to deal some damage, get that ultimate cranking. I'm excited to see what kind of ultimate Bloo is going to be able to crank out right here with that Dragon Blade. Looks like the Grizzlies have almost regrouped again. Got Jimmy Buckets in the back on Reaper with those beautiful golden shotguns. Lots of damage being done to the Grizzlies right here. I see Bloo getting extraordinarily low. However, that is getting reciprocated by the supports of the Grizzlies. Do an amazing job at keeping their team alive. Lots of damage being done right here to this opposing Reinhardt from the Cougars. However, those Junkrat grenades are actually they rip through anybody who's caught next to them. And especially because they can bounce around walls, it's very difficult to stay alive in tight corridors against a Junkrat. It looks like Blue gets taken out by the Symmetra, and the opposing Moira from the Cougars uses that Coalescence in order to heal her team and do damage to the Grizzlies. Looks like the Grizzlies are having to back up right here. It looks like Royal has switched over to Ana. I think I'm seeing a little trend right here with Blue on Genji and Royal on Ana. I'm excited to see if they're going to go for a Nano Blade here momentarily once Blue gets his ultimate. I think I might hear a Riptire. I do hear a Riptire from the opposing Junkrat right here, and here it goes. Will it claim any victims? And it doesn't, as Rad has switched over to the Wrecking Ball. I'm excited to see what he's going to do on Wrecking Ball right now. Looks like it is almost time for overtime to begin cranking, as the Cougars have defended this point up to 92% at the moment. Looks like Jimmy Buckets now has his ultimate ready. However, an ultimate Earth Shatter goes down by a nanode, and Jimmy Buckets goes and gets one elimination with that ultimate, but does not quite get another. Are the Grizzlies able to get on point? And they are not. And the third round goes to the Barton CC Cougars. See who the play of the game is about to go to. It looks like the underdog from the Cougars takes the play of the game on Reinhardt. Now, as this play of the game is cranking, I will remind you we have another game coming up right after a short BRB screen. We're going to be moving into round 2 of the night, as it is currently 1-0 Cougars. We will see you then. Alright, we are back for round number 2 of the Overwatch 2 quarterfinals of the playoffs. We are the Missouri State Grizzlies, and tonight we're going up against the Barton Community College Cougars. And this has been a great game so far. We just got off of control on Lijiang Tower, where the Cougars got 1 point for the night. However, we are moving over to Numbani, which is a hybrid map. And if you're unfamiliar with what a hybrid map is, there's an attacking team and a defending team, where the attackers have to capture a point right here. And then after they capture this point, they have to move this payload to the defending side of the map. I also do have to call out one thing before we continue. The Grizzlies and the Cougars did switch the colors of their teams, so the Grizzlies are now red. Looks like we have Jimmy Buckets on Reaper right there, Royal on Baptiste, with Shullyyyy on Brigitte, and it looks like Rad is on Orisa with Blue on May. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this team comp. We've never seen this before, especially with Shullyyyy on Brig. I'm excited. I don't know what's about to go down.
I know Jackson is going to be very annoying as a May.
Absolutely.
Right,
I've seen Blue play May a lot, and I gotta say, he's definitely very annoying, but in the best way possible, of course.
Oh, yes.
Looks like they are going in immediately. Blue catches some Helix rockets from the Cougar soldier right in the face. Looks like Blue is trying to get around behind right here. Jimmy Buckets with these dual Reaper shotguns. However, Shullyyyy gets taken out by the Junkrat right there. Lots of damage going into Rad and Jimmy Buckets as Jimmy gets taken down, and so does Rad. However, Blue and Royal are still alive right now. Blue using his Icicle Launcher to get some nasty headshots on the opposing team. He already has 66% of his ultimate going down, and he walls off the Reinhardt right there and does not quite get the elimination on the Junkrat, and Royal was taken down as well. So it's time for the Grizzlies to regroup right now. Looks like they're all waiting for, looks like, Blue to come back out as May. And this squad is pushing back towards the point. It looks like they're going to go for more of a flank this time up onto the top catwalk, but there is a Junkrat trap right there. However, Rad does think ahead. He takes that out himself. Using Orisa's Javelin to his advantage, he's able to stun that Reinhardt. Looks like he could have been going for a fire strike, and he knocks the Junkrat and the Reinhardt off the catwalk. However, he did take a lot of damage right there. However, no healing from the Grizzly supports right there was able to keep him alive. Jimmy Buckets and Royal go down as well, and it looks like the rest of the team has jumped back. Blue does get one elimination. However, it looks like he could be taken out very quickly by this Reinhardt. However, that Reinhardt was cornered off by the ice wall from Blue right there, but it does go... And Blue falls off the map! Oh no!
I know he's beating himself up about that one.
He needed to get back with his team anyways, of course.
Yeah, true.
We gotta look on the bright side sometimes.
Ooh.
However, we do have Blue's ultimate ready. So I'm ready to see what they're going to do with that, because May's ultimate is great at crowd control. It's able to freeze anybody caught in its radius, and they take a lot of damage in the meantime. Looks like a Riptire from the opposing Cougars Junkrat was able to take out Jimmy Buckets. Looks like Royal's Firewall is ready as well. Looks like Rad has switched over to Diva, and Blue gets taken out by the opposing Moira. Rad taking a lot of damage, however, it was able to snag that health kit just in time. There's 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock for the Grizzlies to get on this point and capture that.
The Cougars are being very defensive, which is good for them, but the Grizzlies need to figure out something to get around that heavy defense.
I agree. The Barton Cougars, their defense is absolutely impeccable. Rad is on point right now. Looks like he's trying to solo this. Oh, he tries to solo the Ana. Doesn't quite get it because she does get a sleep off on him. Rad and Royal both go down right there. So does Jimmy Buckets, and it looks like Shullyyyy is the last alive on point, and he was not able to stay alive. 37 seconds left in the match for the Grizzlies to hop back on that point. I see Jimmy Buckets with an ultimate ready. I see Blue and Royal with ultimates ready as well. I'm excited to see what's about to go down for the Grizzlies.
With less than 30 seconds, I wonder what
looks
the
like
Grizzlies
Blue
are
has
planning.
been camping out over here. I'm stuck in it. Okay, there we go. He was in an emo, and so it was difficult for me to move my cursor.
I think he's just getting ready to put down the...
And that was an insane Earth Shatter from the opposing Reinhardt. However, that May ultimate does go down, and it doesn't look like it's claiming any victims at the moment. However, Rad does take one elimination. Blue gets an impeccable headshot with that Icicle Blaster.
This
and
might be what they needed.
And as overtime is cranking, it looks like the point is being captured by the Grizzlies.
Beautiful.
Just in time. Whew, 2 minutes and 30 seconds added to the clock, and it is now time for the Grizzlies to escort this payload, with Royal sitting on the payload as we speak. Looks like the Cougars are getting ready to deal a lot of damage onto the oncoming Grizzlies, as the Grizzlies do have to stay relatively close to the payload in order to keep it moving. Looks like the Grizzlies are taking the upper hand up here on this catwalk in order to get some height on the Cougars. And this payload is over halfway to the checkpoint. But that is a Riptire from the Cougars Junkrat. And I'm not sure, I'm not seeing if it's going to take anybody out, and it takes down Royal. That is upsetting. Looks like that Immortality Field from Baptiste did not come out in time. However, Jimmy Buckets uses a teleport to get behind the Soldier 76 from the Cougars up on top of that catwalk in the room. Takes him out easily. Looks like that Junkrat goes down from the Cougars as well. This payload is still moving towards the checkpoint right here. Once it hits that checkpoint, keep in mind that the Grizzlies are going to earn some more time onto their allotted time pool in order to take that payload home. Like an ultimate from Blue is ready. Uses that ice wall to get on top of the catwalk. Beautiful movement right here from Blue. Jimmy Buckets getting eliminations. Blue hitting some insane icicle shots right there. Looks like Shullyyyy was snagging some eliminations as well. And it looks like an ultimate from Rad takes out 2 of the Cougars. And while I was talking about how amazing the Grizzlies are right there, taking out some of the Cougars, the checkpoint, sorry, not the checkpoint, the payload has reached the checkpoint. And they are moving on. They're already halfway from this checkpoint to the final area, which is right here in this little circle. Once that payload hits there, the Grizzlies are going to be taking home a 3-0 lead at the moment. I do see some ultimates ready from the Grizzlies. Looks like an ultimate goes down from Shullyyyy, getting a nice sound barrier in there. Jimmy Buckets takes out one, and it looks like this ult from Jimmy Buckets might begin to crank. However, it doesn't. And it looks like this Moira is the only thing keeping the Grizzlies off of it, and it looks like
And with
Grizzlies.
a minute and 26, they still got time at the end if it does go into an overtime.
Yes, if the Barton College does actually bring this payload to the final area like the Grizzlies just did, the Grizzlies do have a minute and 26 seconds of overtime if we have to go into an overtime round. So now the sides have swapped. The Grizzlies are now going to be defending with the Cougars attacking.
That just goes to show, even if it looks like the odds are not in your favor, don't give up, because they were in overtime for a hot minute, and then they just crushed it.
Absolutely. Because overtime is still time. Doesn't matter which way you look at that, you can still get a lot of stuff done during overtime in Overwatch.
I'm so proud.
I'm so proud as well. Looking to see, it looks like Blue has switched over. He just tried to hit me with that dynamite. Blue, bro, I'm going to have a word with you afterwards. Looks like Shullyyyy has switched over to Mercy, Blue on Ash, and Jimmy Buckets over to May. Looks like they're rocking the same skin, Jimmy Buckets and Blue. That is crazy. A lot of synchronization from our DPS guys right there.
I'm hoping to see, since we know that the Cougars are very defense heavy, I wonder how they're going to be attacking wise.
I agree. I'm looking to see if there's any comp change for the Cougars. It looks like the only difference that I can see is they now have a Kiriko. And they now have a Reaper and an immediate elimination to the concussion mine from the Junkrat of the Cougars. A little bit of damage going off from Blue right here, doing his best to get Bob ready. If you're unfamiliar of what Bob is, Ash's ultimate is known as Bob. She sends out a massive mech who is able to stand in one position and just shoot rapidly at anybody who is in his line of sight. It's an amazing ultimate, especially for game modes like this. And a beautiful wall from Jimmy Buckets. However, it was immediately taken out by the opposing Junkrat, who was able to blow that ice wall apart. It's the thought that counts from Jimmy Buckets right there.
Rad's getting very low.
However, Shullyyyy is standing behind him.
Just pumping out that healing.
I agree, and it looks like Rad is about to take out the... I'm confused on how that Reaper did not get taken out by Rad right there.
They just have good healing as well, I guess.
Looks like the Cougars are already on point right now, doing their best to capture. They're already 1/3 of the way capturing this point. Royal putting out a lot of healing for her team right now.
Nice.
Blue takes out the Junkrat in the air, and right before the point was captured, Royal was able to hop on it. However, that point is now captured. 5 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock for the Cougars to take this point all the way to the Grizzlies' home base. However, Jimmy Buckets does take down the opposing Reinhardt from the Cougars, sending these icicles into the attacking line of the Cougars right here. Those icicles per headshot. I'm sure if you know about this. However, the icicles from the Maze Blaster was able to gain 10% of ult charge per headshot. So with Blue using those icicles with only 10 headshots, which are not too difficult to hit, he's able to get that ultimate very, very quickly.
This was a very nice hold spot because you get a lot of cover while also being able to peek out and get some really good damage.
Looks like Rad's ultimate is ready. I'm waiting to see if he's going to use that. Blue and Jimmy picking up a double elimination right here. Unsure if Rad's going to go in for the ultimate here yet or not.
I think there's still a lot of rooms that they can peek into to hide away. So I don't know if he'll use it here.
I agree, and one thing that I believe is stopping Rad from using that ultimate is the fact that Reinhardt is still up and active with that shield. Reinhardt's shield is able to block an ultimate from D.Va. And I do hear a Junkrat Riptire coming around. I don't know if it's going to claim any victims in it. Still cranking. I still hear it somewhere. I just don't know where it is. Looks like an ultimate from the opposing Reaper right there. And
oh my gosh.
That Junkrat Riptire took out just 3 of the Grizzlies right there. And the ultimate from the Reaper from Barton College takes out another one of the Grizzlies. However, Rad was the only survivor.
That was a great use of an ult.
I agree. Rad was doing his best to mitigate the damage from that Reaper ultimate, using his defense matrix in order to stop any of those shotgun blasts from hitting his team. And he sends the D.Va ultimate into the Cougars. However, it takes no victims as they were able to hide behind a car on the side of the street.
I think he was mainly using that to get them off the point and to give the Grizzlies enough time to get on in there.
I agree. Jimmy Buckets takes out one with his ultimate, but Rad goes down. And this payload has reached the checkpoint. The Cougars now have 4 minutes and 10 seconds to bring this payload all the way to the final destination. Got Shullyyyy up here, damage boosting Bloo and Jimmy Buckets right here, allowing them to do a lot of extra damage to the Cougars. A lot of damage is being dealt.
The only one with an ult right now is Blue, but he just used it.
And that is Bob cranking out some damage, but nobody is in the line of sight of Bob at the moment, so he's not able to do any damage to the Cougars. Jimmy Buckets barely staying alive in his icicle right there. But there is a Reaper doing a flank behind the Grizzlies. Looks like Rad maybe out of his mech soon. I take that back.
And it's Royal.
Yes, and Royal does go down. Jimmy Buckets goes down. Rad is now out of his mech and a Kitsune rush. Shullyyyy and Rad both go down, and it looks like the payload is about to be captured, and it looks like it was. So we are going to be moving into an overtime round. It is currently 3-3. Cougars have 2 minutes and 16 seconds left in order to capture the points.
3 minutes and 16 seconds.
3 minutes and 16 seconds. That is on me. And it looks like the Grizzlies only have 1 minute and 26 seconds. I'm excited to see how this is going to go down. The Grizzlies do have a little bit less than a 2-minute disadvantage in the face of the Cougars. However, I do believe they're able to take this home.
And if it does go into overtime and they get it to the next point, that does not add any time to their meter. Not while it's in an overtime round.
Looks like I am seeing Blue on Hanzo now, and Jimmy Buckets is on Reaper with Shullyyyy on Lucio. Those are the only comp changes I can see from the Grizzlies, and it looks like the Cougars have switched from Reaper to Soldier 76. And the Grizzlies are going to be attacking first. Let's see how well they're going to be able to capture this point with 1 minute and 26 seconds. 1 minute and 26 seconds is a very short amount of time, especially because it does take around 15 to 20 seconds to even get to the point.
Let's see if the Grizzlies got what it takes.
I believe they do, but I know the defense of the Cougars is impeccable. It's going to be really difficult for them to be able to push up.
They seem to really like that high ground.
I agree.
But
so Rad is trying to do his best in order to mitigate some of the damage coming from the Reinhardt on the side, using that Fire Strike.
He's taking a lot of damage.
He is, however, he is solidly getting healed by Royal and Shullyyyy. Jimmy Buckets looks like he's about to go down, but get some healing from the rest of his team. 48 seconds left on the clock for the Grizzlies to get on point. Looks like Rad and Shullyyyy have jumped in. Currently in the back line with Jimmy Buckets coming in as well.
Getting some time on the meter.
Looks like Royal goes down, but Rad takes down the Junkrat and the Reinhardt from the Cougars. Looks like the entirety of the Grizzlies are now on point.
Beautiful.
Blue takes one out. It looks like Rad gets another, and it looks like the point is about to be captured by the Grizzlies with 18 seconds remaining.
Nice.
So there was no time added onto that time pool, as Cassidy mentioned earlier, so they still have to stick with these 10 seconds. They've got to stay on point as overtime is about to crank.
And they cannot get off the payload, or it is
game over if they get off the payload.
Yeah. At least for that little bit, and then it'll go straight over to the Cougars for their round.
A lot of damage being put into the Cougars right now. Rad jumping in with these missiles. And a sound barrier goes down from Shullyyyy right there. And it looks like Rad launches his ultimate into the street. Claims no victims. But a rip tire from the Cougars Junkrat takes out Jimmy Buckets and Rad right there.
They cannot get off the payload.
That overtime cranks down very fast. Looks like Royal has... Oh, and they were off the payload for just a small amount of time. And that overtime did crank down. So that means that the Grizzlies only gained 1 point, as all they did was capture the initial point.
And now they got to stop the Cougars from getting to the same spot that they got off on.
However, the difference is the Cougars have 3 minutes and 16 seconds to do so, where the Grizzlies only had 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Which is a huge advantage.
It's a huge advantage. If you look right here where this payload currently is, this is the area in which the Grizzlies took the payload. All the Cougars had to do is pass this area right here with their payload, and they will take home the win for round number 2.
Which, to be honest, that is a very hard spot to defend and keep on the payload.
I agree. As you can see right here, it is now gracefully outlined in a gold rectangle right here. I was called out by my teammates the other day, as they did say I was referring to this as blue somehow. I don't know how I saw that rectangle as blue. Gotta be colorblind or something, but it's gold, I promise. Looks like the Grizzlies are hopping up into their positions right now. It looks like Shullyyyy has switched over to Mercy, Blue on May, and it looks like Jimmy Bucket's on Sojourn. Looks like Jimmy Buckets is going to be initially damage boosted by Shullyyyy right here in order to get some quick and easy damage, especially with using that railgun. Now that railgun, especially when damage boosted by a Mercy and on 100% charge, can one-tap very many of the Overwatch characters at the moment. Looks like the entirety of the Cougars have gone up into this catwalk right here. Oh, and a wall goes down by Blue, but he was not quite able to get any of the Cougars separated. But Shullyyyy and Jimmy Buckets go down at one time due to a Junkrat concussion mine.
That Junkrat is just picking them off one by one.
I agree. Royal goes down as well to the Junkrat. Looks like Rad is now out of his mech and was taken out as well by that Junkrat. Looks like that was a team elimination for the Cougars, and the point has almost been captured. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Now we gotta see if the Cougars are able to take this payload to that designated point in order to take the round home, or will they make it? If the Grizzlies are able to defend that point for long enough and keep the Cougars away from that golden rectangle I mentioned before, the Grizzlies will take home the round. Ooh. Lots of damage being done to Blue right here. However, he is staying alive, using that wall to keep the Cougars away. Looks like an ultimate from the opposing Bastion right there. Junkrat takes out Blue. And it looks like a Diva ultimate goes up into the air, and it claims one victim, the Kiriko, from the Cougars. Jimmy Buckets was able to take out the Bastion, and it looks like that Moira is getting hurt as well. He goes into his ultimate, is able to use his railgun very quickly.
Nice.
Gets an elimination on the Moira. However, Jimmy Buckets and Royal both go down.
And
the payload is almost there, but Blue is now on Tracer, but a Kitsune Rush is cranking right now. And Blue goes down, and the payload was delivered to the rectangle, and that means that the Barton Community College Cougars are taking home round number 2, making tonight's score 2-0 in favor of the Cougars. We're going to be moving into match point very, very soon, but until then, enjoy this play of the game by the Junkrat from the Barton Cougars. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for round number 3 of the night. We're the Missouri State University Grizzlies, and tonight we're going up against the Barton College Cougars. This is round number 3 of the quarterfinals of the NJCAAE playoffs for Overwatch 2. Now, the Barton Cougars are currently up 2-0 on the Grizzlies. However, we're taking it over to Junkertown right now, which is an escort map. If you're familiar with escort maps, or if you're not, for escort there's 2 teams attacking and defending. The attacking team has to hop on this payload right here with this cute little Pachimari and a safe and take it down this road where this blue line goes, cross a couple checkpoints, and into the defending side of the map. Now the Grizzlies are going to be the ones that are attacking first, with the Cougars defending. Rad is on Diva, with Shullyyyy on Kiriko. Jimmy Buckets is on Soldier 76. I'm trying to find the rest of the team. I don't know where they are. Looks like Blue is on Widowmaker in the back. And I don't know where Royal is.
Seeing last time that we played on this map, I'm very worried about how it's going to go.
Looks like Royal is on Baptiste. She just now spawned in. Looks like Rad has already jumped into the back line. Blue taking out one on Widowmaker. Blue is insane with these Widowmaker snipes. He's able to take down a lot of the softer, squishier characters with less health pools, like that Ana that just got folded by Blue right there. Looks like Rad is just doing his best to keep the Cougars away from the payload.
They are giving them no breathing room.
Yes, however, Blue was taken down, and Jimmy Buckets was taken out as well by the Hanzo and the Junkrat. Oh, and it looks like Jimmy was taken down too, and Rad was taken out. Looks like it is only the supports of the Grizzlies left alive. However, DPSs are now back. Blue and Jimmy Buckets. Blue still on Widowmaker with Jimmy still on Soldier. Looks like Blue trying to hit some quick trick shots right there. See if he's able to hit one for the stream. Oh, just barely misses the head of that Hanzo. Oh, and he almost gets the trick shot. He does get a hit marker. Jimmy Buckets goes down to the opposing Hanzo.
Nice.
But Blue reciprocates that and takes out the Hanzo. Oh, and he almost hits that again. Looks like the Widowmaker Infra Sight is ready on Blue right here, and he uses that. If you're unfamiliar with what Widow's Ultimate Infra Sight does, it reveals the location of everyone on the map to the team of the Widowmaker that uses it. Royal does snag 2 eliminations right there, doing a lot of damage to the Cougars as it looks like they are retreating.
Giving up that spot to then set up on the next point is very crucial to get like a good foothold in the next area.
I agree, and the payload has reached the first checkpoint in favor of the Grizzlies. It's added some time onto their allotted time slot. So the Grizzlies now have 4 minutes and 13 seconds to bring this payload to the next checkpoint. Looks like Rad is currently up in the faces of the Cougars right now, dealing as much damage as humanly possible. I do hear a rip tire from the opposing Junkrat, and it does take out Blue. However, since this first checkpoint has been reached, the Grizzlies are now spawning closer.
Oh my goodness.
Rad was slept and pinned and taken out. That is not good for Mr. Rad. I am stuck in a wall. Looks like Shullyyyy goes down as well. Looks like Royal is the only one that's up here right now. Looks like she's trying to get some high ground on this catwalk, and she does just that. I'm trying to spectate Jimmy Buckets right here on Soldier to see exactly what he's doing. Puts down his biotic, healing well. Looks like he does have his tactical visor ready. If you're unfamiliar with what that tactical visor is, it is Soldier 76's ultimate. It allows him to get literal aimbot and can track anybody on the map. It's impossible for him to miss a shot. That is a lot of damage if you're able to catch some of the opponents without any cover. However, a Hanzo ultimate goes through the center of this street right here. However, Rad takes out 2 of the Cougars, and an ultimate goes down from Rad as well, but Blue switched over to Genji and was able to take out the Reinhardt. Looks like they have backed this Junkrat up into a corner. Looks like he is about to go down right there, and he does.
Nice.
With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, the Grizzlies are about to put this payload into the next checkpoint. And as I'm saying that they do, they're now up to 4 minutes remaining in order to take this payload around this corner and to the final location, which is right here. I'm excited to see how the Grizzlies are going to do this and how much time they're going to have left. A lot of damage being dealt to Rad right there by that Junkrat. However, Rad is also doing a lot of damage right here. D.Va is so good at just cranking out solid, steady damage as she does not have to reload her mech weapons. Looks like Blue goes in but gets slept in the Dragon Blade. However, he still was able to get an elimination and saved by Royal's immortality field right there. He does go in with that Dragon Blade, as I said, but the opposing Ana from the Cougars was able to sleep him mid-dash.
That was quick thinking from Royal.
I agree. Royal's immortality field saved Blue right there as he was able to snag 2 eliminations after the fact. Oh my goodness. I do have to commend.
Killing them.
I do have to commend the Ana from the Cougars right there. Hitting a Genji who is mid Dragon Blade is beyond difficult. I have tried it so many times, but I have never gotten it down. Rad's ultimate goes down, claims no victims. However, Rad, the mech comes down on top of the Mei from the Cougars.
Let me tell you, I love getting those kinds of kills.
I gotta agree. Looks like Blue snags an elimination with Jimmy Buckets right here. And it looks like the payload has been delivered too.
Beautiful. With 2 minutes and 21 seconds this time.
Absolutely. A whole minute compared to last match. The Grizzlies are now up 3-0, and it is now time for the Cougars to attempt to earn some points as the sides are switching. I glitched through the map. That is great. So we're going to go ahead and go over to the next area. Well, not really the next area, but the beginning area. As the Barton Cougars are going to be the ones attacking with the Grizzlies defending. I'm getting ready to see if there's going to be any comp changes to the Grizzlies right here. I believe they're going to be spawning out of this area right here. They are. It looks like Blue has switched over to Junkrat. Looks like he's getting a little angry when it comes to that other Junkrat. Jimmy Bucket's still on Soldier 76. Rad is on Diva, and the rest of the team has not spawned in yet. They only have 30 seconds to get up into this defending spot. So I'm hoping they spawn in very quickly. Shullyyyy spawns in right there, and now Royal has as well. Shullyyyy has switched over to Mercy, and the rest of the comp stays the same. It looks like the comp for the Cougars is almost the same. However, their DPSs are now Bastion and Widowmaker.
Wow, I didn't think he was going to hop off of Junkrat, not going to lie.
He did once, I believe, in Numbani. He was able to. It looked like Jimmy Buckets is waiting, getting damaged. Oh! Immediately sniped by the opposing Widowmaker, but was immediately revived by Shullyyyy right there. But Blue gets taken out by the Reinhardt. The Rad is now out of his mech. He's still barely alive, but that ultimate is cranking to get his mech back. Royal goes down, and Rad gets pinned. This Widowmaker from the Cougars team is very skilled with the sniper rifle. Looks like Shullyyyy was the only one left. Blue counter snipes the Widowmaker. And he gets another snipe on the Ana as well, snagging a double elimination. Putting that top 500 spray on the wall right there. Looking great, Blue. Looks like Jimmy Buckets is now the one that is damage boosted by Shullyyyy. I take that back. As soon as I say that, I am wrong. And as soon as I say that, I am wrong because he's damage boosted once more. This payload is very close to the checkpoint, as the checkpoint is right in front of that doorway. Blue counter snipes the opposing Widow as well.
I think he took them getting on Widow very personally.
I agree, because he picked up another double right there on Widowmaker.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Absolutely insane. Great job to Blue right there. And he almost snags the trick shot right there. That would have been beautiful for stream. I'm gonna go ahead and keep spectating our man Blue, see if he's able to get any amazing shots off. And I say that as I'm gonna go into aerial view.
It seems that there's going to be a Widow versus Widow match going on.
Looks like he does have a sightline on that doorway. I'm excited to see if it looks like the ultimate from Rad goes off right there, but no victims from that ultimate. And that opposing Bastion's minigun is cranking into Rad. However, that defense matrix was able to mitigate some of that. Blue gets another counter snipe on the Widowmaker. He is 3 for 3 on the counter snipes.
Not gonna lie, I think that other Widow needs to hop off.
I agree. Royal snags an elimination on the opposing Ryan. Rad takes out the Moira from the Cougars as well, and the Bastion. It looks like that Ana has nowhere to run other than off the map or into the bullets from the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think they were planning on just running off so that they didn't give our team any further ultage. I don't know the word.
Any more ult charge, maybe?
Yes, that is the word I was looking for.
It's like Rad is currently holding this catwalk right here. Infra sight from Blue on Widowmaker goes out to reveal the locations. And another counter snipe from Blue right there on the opposing Hanzo. Blue just cannot miss, and he only hits shots whenever I'm not looking.
Yes.
Looks like Rad takes out that Widowmaker as well.
Oh.
Rad is dealing so much damage to this team right now. There's only 50 seconds left in the game for the Cougars to take this payload all the way to the other side of the map.
I remember when push maps were not our favorite. And now look at them. I'm so proud. They're doing so good.
Looks like Jimmy Buckets is currently in his ultimate. However, he was hacked by the opposing Sombra as they did switch over to Sombra and Tracer, the Cougars.
Oh, I see what they're trying to do. Tricky, tricky, tricky.
Just barely missing the snap, but he gets the snipe on the Tracer, dealing a lot of damage to that Moira, but was not able to. And I say that as he does take her out. A beautiful flick right there from Blue.
7. Oh.
Is he able to hit it? And Jimmy Buckets picks it up for him. However, that is a nanoed Reinhardt in the center of the Grizzlies right there, dealing a lot of damage. Jimmy Buckets takes one out, but Shullyyyy and Royal go down, and Blue was able to snag an elimination on that Sombra. Rad now out of his ultimate, out of his mech, but the payload is now in overtime. Rad does go down, and it looks like it's about to hit the checkpoint, and it does hit the checkpoint, adding 2 minutes and 30 seconds onto the time pool for
sure
the Cougars. So it looks like now that this checkpoint has been reached, the Grizzlies are having to back up. Looks like the snipes from Blue are still happening. Looks like he's
pre-fire
spraying down the hallway to see if he can find that Sombra who is invisible. Oh my goodness, Blue!
Beautiful!
Oh, brother! Homie just hit one of the nastiest flicks on that Tracer I think I've ever seen.
That was crazy.
That was beautiful. Cougars have got to be terrified after what just happened. Like
I'm surprised they're not targeting him more.
I know. I would be very surprised if they don't switch over to a dive comp immediately to jump on top of Blue and take him out. However, this Reinhardt from the Cougars is very adamant at only staying on Reinhardt. Looks like Jimmy Buckets does get stuck from the opposing Tracer, but a very quick thinking Royal saves the life of Jimmy Buckets right there. As when you get stuck, especially if you have, I think it's 200 health maximum, which Soldier 76 only has 200 health. If you are stuck by Tracer's Pulse Bomb, you are immediately eliminated. However, Royal on Baptiste was able to throw down her Immortality Field as quickly as possible and stop Jimmy Buckets from dying immediately.
Oh, he's getting picks from spawn.
The Blue falls down.
Uh-oh.
It looks like he does get taken down by the opposing Kiriko. I know he's going to blame that on Rad, even though we know it wasn't his fault. Looks like Shullyyyy is currently in his ultimate, damage boosting and healing the entirety of the Grizzlies as Jimmy Buckets takes out one.
Nice.
Looks like he's getting the res on Jimmy Buckets as well. Lots of damage from Jimmy Buckets right there in his ultimate. Absolutely beautiful.
This is a really good chokehold on them.
Jimmy Buckets takes a double elimination right there. 20 seconds left in the game for the Cougars to hop on point.
Fingers crossed, man.
Fingers crossed.
But this is nothing.
10 seconds left.
This is not luck. This is pure skill.
Pure display of skill from both teams right here. Rad takes out the Hanzo, however, it looks like the Cougars were trying to do a Cloud9 strat right here and sneak past the Grizzlies in order to take that payload the rest of the way.
I don't think my heart.
Looks like Rad is trying to focus this Tracer in the corner. The payload is currently on overtime, so all the Grizzlies have to do is take the Cougars off. Jimmy Buckets gets a triple elimination.
Beautiful!
Oh my goodness, brother! And it looks like the Grizzlies take home round number 3 right there.
Should have stayed on Junkrat, my man.
Should have stayed on Junkrat. The Cougars have lost this round. The Grizzlies taking it home. Looks like Blue gets play of the game. Score is currently 2-1. However, it is still match point for the Cougars. Let's go ahead and see this. Oh, I did not get to see that, but that was a beautiful, beautiful aerial trick shot right there from Blue. We're going to be moving into round number 4. It is still match point for the Cougars. Let's see what's going to happen later. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And this is game number 4 of the Overwatch 2 quarterfinals. We're the Missouri State Grizzlies, and tonight we're going up against the Barton Cougars. We are taking it over to Coliseo right now in this beautiful Roman paradise. Coliseo is a push map. If you're unfamiliar with what a push game type is, both teams have to move to the center of the map, similar to Control. However, they have to push this robot to the to the opposing side of the map. So the Grizzlies, who are on red team, have to take their robot here and push it this way as they are on the red barricade. Now in about 15 seconds, the Grizzlies and the Cougars are going to be rushing to the center. And I do see a pharmacy strat going on. They're not letting me in. They've locked me out. How dare they? Either way, looks like Rad has switched over to Orisa. Looks like Shullyyyy is on Mercy and Jimmy Bucket's on Pharah. Looks like Bloo is on Genji and Royal is on Ana. This is the first time that we've seen Jimmy Buckets play Pharah in this series, and it looks like the opposing Lucio from the Cougars has already made his way to the Grizzlies side of the playing field. Lots of initial damage going down to both teams right here. And oh, Bloo gets taken out immediately, and so does Jimmy Buckets by the same Cassidy from the Cougars. Rad goes down as well. Shullyyyy gets, and it looks like Royal was able to snag a sleep dart. However, Shullyyyy and Royal are the only two left alive. Looks like the Cougars are initially pushing this robot to the Grizzlies side of the field. Looks like Blue's trying to crank out a lot of damage right here. Sending that Moira ball right back into their team. Looks like Rad has switched over to D.Va. He was on Orisa, now he has switched over to what he used in the map beforehand. This robot is still being pushed. It looks like the opposing Cassidy was slept by Royal in the middle of his ultimate. That is not a-okay for that Cassidy. Rad is taken out of his mech and then taken out. Bloo was taken down by the Cassidy as well. Royal was taken out by the Reinhardt. Looks like Shullyyyy goes down to the Moira. Looks like Jimmy Buckets is about to go down to that Genji as well. Team wipe by the Cougars right there. That barricade is still being pushed.
If the Grizzlies don't win this, then it will be game over.
Right, because it is still match point for the Cougars, 2-1 at the moment. A beautiful defense matrix from Rad right there, stopping that Reinhardt's fire strike from reaching him. It looks like his ultimate is ready. It would be a perfect time to send his ultimate down, as they are all grouped around one area. He gets pinned by the Reinhardt, almost taken off the map, but doesn't quite do that. Bloo and Royal do go down. Rad is the only one on the point right now contesting that. Looks like he does use that ultimate. It claims no victims though. That is upsetting for Rad.
They've pushed us quite a bit of ways with still 7 minutes to go.
Right, and this payload has reached the first checkpoint for the Cougars, meaning they are going to be spawning closer to this payload. Not payload, robot. Looks like Jimmy Bucket's ultimate is ready. A lot of damage being dealt to this Cassidy right here from Jimmy Buckets. Looks like Bloo has switched over to Widowmaker. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. Looks like there is an ultimate going down from the opposing Genji. Takes out Jimmy Buckets and Shullyyyy right there. Rad is out of his mech and taken out by that Genji as well. However, Bloo does snag an elimination. And he snags 2, getting a quick scope on that Genji. Looks like they're all hiding behind that Reinhardt shield. Looks like they're all terrified of Bloo.
I'm just saying, you don't want to push them to where he has to pull out a Widowmaker.
Looks like the payload is now in the possession of the Grizzlies, with Bloo snagging another elimination and Shullyyyy moving over to Brigitte. And it looks like the ultimate from Bloo does go down.
And they're all hiding.
And they're all hiding. They all know that Blue's ultimate on Widowmaker only lasts 15 seconds. If they're able to hide for that 15 seconds, yes, the Grizzlies do know where they are, but they are able to stay together and deflect any attack. Oh, that was almost not very good for Blue right there, as that Genji did deflect his shot right back at him. Ultimate from Rad goes down, but it does snag an elimination on the Genji, and he gets his mech back immediately. Dealing a lot of damage right here.
Oof. And he's getting healed as well in the Cougars tank. Nice.
Rad and Blue snag the eliminations of the Kiriko and the Reinhardt. Looks like Royal is almost done. Yeah, and it looks like Rad was able to save Royal right there. However, Blue shoots at the Genji, but he deflects Blue's shot right back at him and takes Blue out.
I'm just saying, he's getting a taste of his own medicine right there.
Yeah, he does like to do that on Genji as well to the other Widowmakers that Blue is against. Looks like Royal's ultimate is ready as Baptiste. If you're unfamiliar with what Baptiste's ultimate does, Baptiste places down a wall that anyone can shoot through, and by anyone, I mean anyone on the team of that Baptiste.
Ooh.
Oh, and that coalescence from the Moira on the Cougars team right there takes out 3 of the Grizzlies, and that is a team wipe for the Cougars. As I was saying about Baptiste's ultimate, Baptiste places a wall down, and anyone on his team is able to shoot through that wall, and it deals greatly enhanced damage when the projectiles pass through that wall. I'm ready to see what Jimmy Buckets is going to do with that ultimate. I'm ready for a little bit of a double ultimate going on here in a moment if Jimmy Buckets uses his and Royal uses hers in order to create an enhanced aimbot. Blue and Shullyyyy snagging 2 eliminations right there, and Jimmy Buckets getting 1 as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. And they all have their ults.
Yes, every single one of the Grizzlies have their ultimate, but almost every single one of the Cougars is dead and gone, except for this Genji, who's doing his best to escape, but can't
Grizzlies
because
need to get on the robot, though.
they do need to get on the robot. Rad does use his thrusters to get back up there with Royal and escort this robot. Now, the Cougars have pushed the robot 115 meters. The Grizzlies have only pushed it 20 meters. They do have a long way to go.
And that hold that they have at the end, on the other side of the end, is what got them last time.
Looks like Blue's ultimate is cranking again, revealing the locations of all of the Cougars, and it is now over. However, every single one of the Grizzlies do have their ultimates. I'm excited to see how this is all going to play out. Looks like Rad launches his ultimate into the center, but no victims!
Again.
Jimmy Buckets takes out
Blue's
the
down.
ulting Genji, and Blue gets taken out as well, but Rad snags an elimination through the firewall of Baptiste right there. Rad snags 2 eliminations. Jimmy Buckets gets 1 as well. Absolutely beautiful push from the Grizzlies right there, and this payload is moving.
I swear, I need to wear like one of those like heartbeat trackers whenever I'm watching this.
Might want to crank it down on the energy jinx too. That might be what's doing it
That
too.
might be.
Looks like Rad is getting up onto this catwalk to do a lot of damage to the Grizzlies, and not to the Grizzlies, to the Cougars, and especially doing his best to take down the shield of the opposing Reinhardt. But that Earth Shatter goes down. Royal throws down her immortality.
Ooh.
Jimmy Buckets and Shullyyyy do go down. Royal follows quickly. And it looks like Blue goes down as well. Rad is the only one left alive, but he's out of his mech and alone with only 150 health, and it looks like they were able to stagger Rad.
Only 2 minutes left to go.
2 minutes left. The Grizzlies are up to 53 meters with the Cougars up to 115. However, they do have to bring that robot all the way back to this barricade. Looks like Blue has switched over to Sombra, something we've only seen a few times. Blue grabs an elimination with Rad snagging 1 as well. Jimmy Buckets does get an elimination. It looks like he's doing his best. Blue and Jimmy Buckets snagging these eliminations on the Cougars right there. I want to go ahead and spectate Blue and see where he's going on Sombra right here.
Oh.
That was either some lucky shots from that Hanzo, or he just knew that Blue was behind him in Sombra. However, it is very difficult to know when a Sombra is around because she is completely invisible. There's no way that anyone can see a Sombra. Unless she gets way too close. Looks like the Grizzlies have let the Cougars gain control of this robot once again. Looks like Blue's ultimate is almost ready. Blue's ultimate on Sombra is a hack that takes out the armor of all of the players stuck inside of that ultimate. Rad does get taken down, and so does Shullyyyy. And his payload, this robot, just keeps moving. Jimmy Buckets doing his best to get out and around and get back with his team. He does not quite make it. Bloo and Jimmy Buckets go down right there, and the payload is being pushed by the Cougars once more. 53 meters to 120 meters with 20 seconds left in the game. The Grizzlies are going to have to hop on this point and defend it with their heart, or they're going to be going out of the playoffs. Shullyyyy gets taken down on Moira, however. Oh, Royal puts down her ultimate, and Blue's ultimate goes out. Rad and Jimmy Buckets and Bloo snag 3 eliminations, and it looks like the payload is back in control by the Grizzlies. However, overtime is now cranking. If the Grizzlies are taken off of this robot, they will be losing this round, and the Cougars will be winning the night. So the Grizzlies really have to stay on this point and pass the 134-meter mark, which is basically all the way at the end of the Cougars' defense. However, that Hanzo ultimate goes right past, and that Kiriko Kitsune rush right there. Lots of damage being done to everybody. Rad and Jimmy Buckets taken out. Shullyyyy shortly after. Overtime is cranking down, and it looks like the Cougars take home round number 4. And good game to the Cougars as they do take home tonight. Grizzlies, good games to the Grizzlies. However, the Cougars were the ones that win the quarterfinals. Play of the game goes to the Hanzo from the Cougars. Good games to everyone. Thank you to everyone who was able to tune in either on Twitch or on Hasdar. Appreciate everybody. Have a good night.